As the leaders of the Western industrialized world meet in Hiroshima, Japan at the 2023 G7 summit, there might be a lesson for us all. So while the G7 countries are cooperating, some countries have more gold than their neighbors. Is it better to cooperate with your neighbors, or is it better to have more gold? Let's rank the G7 countries from the least amount of gold reserves to the G7 country with the most gold. At the G7, they operate by the golden rule. The leader with the least amount of gold buys a round of beers for everyone else.
Previously on Silver Heist. To see more, please subscribe.
Welcome to Silver Heist. Thank you to our returning subscribers and guests. We are going to use the occasion of the 2023 G7 summit in Hiroshima, Japan, to rank the G7 countries from the least amount of gold to the most amount of gold. We'll also find out which G7 member country actually has no gold. So if it's a G7, why are there 9 people smiling in this photo, and who do the extra 2 people represent? And if you stay to the very end, I have a clip from It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. This comedy classic explores the idea of when presented with the prospect of a small fortune, is it better for strangers to cooperate as a group to achieve success, or does it degenerate into every man for himself? So let's rank the G7 countries from least to most gold. I'm going to hold back the country with no gold for a bit. So who has the second least amount of gold in the G7? Coming in second to last, it is the United Kingdom, here represented by their new Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, with 310 tons of gold. Tons as in metric tons. A metric ton is exactly 32,150 troy ounces of gold. So 310 tons of gold is actually 9,966,700 ounces of gold. So that would be over 9 million gold eagles. So if the United Kingdom actually had no gold and they bought all the U.S. gold coins from the U.S. Mint for the next 6 years, they would come out to be about the same, 9.9 million ounces of gold. So next up is actually not a country, and they're actually not in the G7, but they have a lot of gold, and that is the Euro area. They have 507 tons of gold, and they are represented here by Council President Charles Michel and by Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. So the European Union, or the Euro area, actually has more gold in their control than the entire United Kingdom. So that's a lot of gold. So of the G7 countries with the least amount of gold, number 5 would be Japan, this year's host country. Japan has 846 tons of gold, here represented by Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. So for the G7, the country with the 4th most amount of gold goes to France, represented here by President Emmanuel Macron. They have 2,437 tons of gold. Coming in at number 3, a country with just a little bit more gold than their neighbor, Italy, at 2,452 tons of gold, here represented by their new Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni. Next up, a country where the citizens stack a lot of gold themselves is Germany, number 2, with their government holding 3,355 tons of gold, here represented by the Chancellor Olaf Scholz. So which countries actually aren't in the G7, but yet they have a significant amount of gold and growing world power? The BRICS countries, for example, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, all with gold, certainly more than the country in the G7 that has no gold, And some of the BRICS countries having a lot more gold than some of the other G7 countries. And maybe some of the BRICS countries aren't being totally transparent in how much gold they actually have. What if they actually have more gold, such as Russia or China? Is it really in their interest to tell the world how much gold they have? Maybe they're keeping that close to the vest for later. So the country that actually has no gold in their government reserves is represented here by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada. They have no gold in their government reserves, no gold in their treasury, no gold in their central bank, no gold. A few years ago, it was said that they had 66 ounces of gold, but this record that I dug up said 0. Maybe 66 ounces is practically 0. So if you hold gold and Canada has 0, you may have more gold in your holdings than the government of Canada. So this dollar bill from Canada is actually backed by nothing, not by any gold at all. Coming in number 1, the G7 country with the most gold is the United States. Here represented by President Joe Biden, the U.S. has 8,133 tons of gold in the U.S. Treasury and the Federal Reserve Bank combined. So of all the G7 countries, the U.S. has the most amount of gold. So let's hope it's all there. So the setup to the great comedy classic, It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, was a group of 4 strangers learned a secret from a dying man about a hidden fortune that was 200 plus miles away. So faced with this mystery of this hidden fortune, would they cooperate together and reach success, or would it degenerate into every man for himself?
Let's see now. As I understand it, I got 1 share for being 1 person, 1 share for going down the hill, 1 share for the truck, and 1 share for being a person in the truck. But no matter how you figure it out, I still don't get as much as anybody else.
I give up. Look, anybody got a better, fairer plan? Go ahead and do it.
There were 8 of us there, so that simply means 8 shares. 3 for us, 2 for you.
This is hopeless. We're gonna get no place if we're gonna continue listening to this old bag.
Hey, what are you trying to do, lady? You're trying to split us up so it becomes every man for himself?
And every woman for himself?
One more funny remark from you, Buster.
Well, let's get out of here.
Please don't argue anymore. You heard everybody's...
Look, we figured it 17 different ways. And every time we figured it, it was no good, because no matter how we figured it, somebody didn't like the way we figured it. So now, there's only one way to figure it, and that is every man, including the old bag, for himself.
So good luck and may the best man win.
Right. Except you, lady. May you just drop dead.
All right. We all agree on that. Now look, let's be sensible about this thing. There's money in this for all of us, right? There's enough for you, there's enough for you, and for me, and for you, and there's enough.
All right. Gold. We can all agree on that. There's gold enough for all of us, right? There's enough for you, and for you, and for me. So if you don't have a gold dealer, why not buy from APMEX? They're the only one of 9 companies who buy directly from the U.S. Mint who also sell directly to the public. There's a link below with my affiliate link where it doesn't cost you any more than to go to APMEX's front door, and it helps out the channel. Please give this video a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.